Whoa, 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 whoa. What's going on in Bitcoin and Ethereum? Are we having fun yet, folks? If you've been following us, you should be having fun. Bitcoin just smashes past 100,000, and right now it's not looking back. But hold up, hold up. What about that CME market gap at 91 to 93,000? Could it drag prices lower? No freaking way. This could be the ultimate breakout to 144,000. And wait till you hear what Ethereum just did. Let's break it all down. We're going to have fun today. Welcome back, Crypto Crew. It's your boy Tom here, bringing you the hottest in Bitcoin and crypto action. If you're ready to dive into today's market analysis, hit the like button. Make sure you hit subscribe, and don't forget to follow us on X, where we talk about Bitcoin and altcoins all day, every day. All right, let's talk the big picture first. All right, let's get into the charts. All righty, got so much to cover here. Bitcoin broke that psychological level at 100,000, chewing up 3 billion in short plays. 3 billion in shorts were eaten up by the marketplace, and people are, shorts really, all right, they're scratching their head, they're not happy. Hey, we've all been there before, right? So I'm not taking any pleasure in their pain anyway, but I'm kind of happy we did hit that target and take off to see the fireworks that I've been talking about. But right now, it's currently hovering just below or just at 103,000. Ethereum, absolute monster. And we've been calling this. We said that Ethereum, is once it broke 2,200, it's on its way to 4,000 and then going, we're thinking parabolic. But absolute monster rally, up nearly 20% in a single day. Trading right around 23.40 right now. Institutional money is flying in. Ethereum inflows just clocked over 100 million. Shorts are getting wiped out. And even Trump has been reportedly buying Ethereum. So, I mean, he actually said it a while ago. So that's quite interesting. So the sentiment right now is euphoric, but there's a twist, okay? There's a twist to it. Really, if we look at the Bitcoin funding rates, they're extremely low. And that means that there's more fuel to add to this fire in all crypto. So there's no fear of missing out premiums yet. No really overheated derivatives, just clean bullish flow right now. Now, of course, we got the fear and greed. We're short term. Greed's at 73. We really need to get above 87 to really start to worry about any type of people coming in to hit the marketplace to basically take profits. I think that retail is still asleep, which is great. So let's get into the technicals, okay? Let's start off with the 4-hour chart. I want to go over to that famous CME market gap. All right. The 91,400 to 93 hasn't been filled. Now that was one of the stories I gave you back in one of the past videos. I said not all gaps are filled. There's still a gap from 1973 on the stock market waiting to be filled. It's not, that gap's not going to be filled. Well, who knows? Maybe if there's a tremendous crash one day, it could be filled. But right now, the reason that this price, it should have acted as a magnet price to bring the price back down. And I was hoping that it would go down there. I've said it several times. But the bulls ignored it completely and took Bitcoin vertical. Now, we're going to get into a little bit deeper to actually show where we could have kind of pinpointed this trade. But right now, we're sitting at 103, which, as I said before, is a critical level. 102, like 500, was the high day's close during the last major rally, and it should have acted as resistance. So let's get onto that chart so we could see the megaphone pattern. Right now, I have the line right here. That's that 102.6. Notice right now in the day, it's using this as support. That's a very important thing to know. Now, if we can close above this level today, we're heading to that 107, 100. Probably not, it's Friday. We're going into a weekend. Things could be lulled down to sleep a little bit over the weekend. It's a time that the market takes a little bit of a reprieve. Not always, but most of the time. But really, that's the trajectory. It's going to 107, 100. Now, the critical price that of that 1025, usually it would act as resistance. So what I'm accustomed to seeing, if a marketplace is still in an ebb and flow, not really in a decisive bullish tone, what it would do is it would come up to this level, it would maybe surpass it like it's done, then it would come back down, come back up, test it again. That would act as a strong resistance. Then it would pull back down perhaps to that 95. And then we'd start channeling between these two prices until the final breakup, if it was a bull market. Now, right now, what it's doing is it's ignoring those rules, and it's basically staying right at this level, and it's showing that, hey, I got the potential to jump to 107.1 pretty quickly. Now, those of you that haven't bought the coin, well, there's two theories on this. It's never too high to buy it, and it's never too low to sell it. If a marketplace is truly in a bullish tone, you may have to look on a shorter term chart to try to look for a higher bottom to buy. And we're going to get into that in a second. I'm going to show you a classic setup that we had that we actually predicted on X. But right now, let's move over because I don't want to take up too much time. I could talk for hours about this stuff. So right now, we're sitting at the 1025, which I said is the critical level. If we can hold above this, it's 107 now. Now, I want to show you an X post that we had, which was really cool. One of our technicians put this up, fabulous technician, and basically said, look, he had a perfect rising channel. Now, I'm going to get into this. I'm going to get into this chart. So if I can find this chart right here. Here it is. All right. Perfect rising channel market. All right. Really, this line itself is a projection into the future for resistance. So not only is this pattern, could it be a bullish signal, it could also be a bearish signal. So it's got chirality of markets right there, equal yet opposites. So like you have a left hand and right hand. We discussed this once before, chirality, that a pattern could do either or. So when you're projecting into the future, you're looking for future resistance. So if this marketplace truly was in, or a neutral pattern, because if it stays within the cone itself, it's basically neutral. It's not doing anything yet. If it breaks down below the price, it's showing bearishness, probably down into like that level right there, the 88. Now, there was a concern at one time that we could actually go down there. And I gave a video on that saying that there's both sides to this. You got to be prepared for both. If the marketplace dumps, don't panic. It's just part of the natural ebb and flow of the marketplace. Of course, everybody likes to see Bitcoin rally. Yeah, Bitcoin rally. Everybody's excited. But, retail is not going to get excited until it breaks like probably 109. Then all hell's going to break loose. And we're going to do some projections off of that. But right now, this was a perfect, channel, rising wedge, rising channel, whatever you want to call it. So the theory would have been that the marketplace bouncing off of support would have came up to this and created another red circle, whereas it actually would have turned down from there and created basically a slightly higher low. Still showing biddish tone because the structure itself, creating higher lows means like, okay, the market structure is changing and it's starting to go into like a bid tone. Now I wanted to, I want to show you this. I want to take this chart and I want to go down to a 1 hour. Okay, for a short-term trader. Wow, what's that thing? That's pretty ugly there, right? So let's get rid of that thing. It looks kind of strange. All right, so if I'm looking at this chart on a 1 hour basis, all right, so we knew we were coming down to support. We saw this, okay? So we can't say, oh, hindsight's 2020. We saw this. But we could have, at that point, done something, basically trendline analysis, okay? Really straight trendline analysis, where we could have taken a high point, and actually projected for our resistance line. So if I take this and I drive across, There's my resistance line. Now, I want to point out something on this chart that's quite interesting, or a little technique that you can use. If you're trading short term, okay, and you're looking at a breakout of a trend line, the bar that breaks out, okay, so this bar was the first bar, or, okay, I'm sorry, first candle that broke above the resistance line, right? Now, how do you know, with probably pretty good certainty that it's a good breakout? Because a lot of times markets are false breakouts. Tons of times markets are false breakouts. They fool traders all the time. So I came up with a little idea. I said, well, if the bar before it was a down close, then the break of the trend line is probably good, because this actually showed bearishness, right? Selling pressure was higher on this bar than on this next hour, yet it still closed down as a red bar, a red candle, meaning that, oh, there was selling pressure there. However, notice how it uses the trend line as support, and this was buying here, buying, and then boom, the push up. It's still down bar, down candle, freaking candles. For me, I mean, they're like just fireworks. Like, I think of these candles are like firecrackers. But anyway, so the marketplace came up 3 hours, although there was some selling pressure, but still closed higher. So what we can then do at this point moving forward, if we took that breakout, okay, because we're using good old Tom's law, that, hey, the candle before was, a down candle, we could actually draw the next support, a resistance line. Now, we could also start to draw support from this point up, right here, to that point. All right, so we had a down candle here, up candle. This actually, in my rules, should have been like a fake out. Should have been a pull up, pull back down, potentially come back in, and then up. Well, the rule didn't work that time, so there you go. Just goes to show you, not everything is always perfect, but that's a good little technique that you can use. Anyway, all right, so this is how we could have basically traded this short term to try to find a good spot to get long. Obviously, it would have been perfect to get long here. Hindsight's 2020. When you come back up into this wedge right there, you could have taken the breakout. Most people would have. They would have not known about my little, oh, there's an up candle right there, don't take it. But right here was actually the show of strength. The marketplace came right up to the upper level. Down, look, here's a good one. Down candle, breaking through the main resistance line, and then here we are right now at that 103 level, where we said that also that 102,500 is important. So anyway, let's switch over to the daily charts. All right, let's get over to the dailies. I don't want to do Wyckoff yet. I want to do my megaphone pattern here. All right, let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this guy. All right, megaphone pattern. All right. The bullish megaphone pattern, with widening volatility and upward trajectory, and it's playing out perfectly. I got to give kudos to Frank. One of our technicians said, hey, look at this. This is what we're seeing right now. I said, hey, that's cool. Let's see if we can get through that 95.9. And we did. And it was a nice bounce upward. Okay, so we had the break, above this level, perfectly. Now, I had put this line here, that 102,500, because that's the what? High day's close. So that's the most important level right now. So what we have to do here is we could do something really interesting here, all right? If this level holds, if we can close today above this level, the 107, 100 is in perfect target. Now, let's try to, take a projection off of this, okay? So how are people coming up with 120 as the next stop if we break the high? Well, it's really simple. If we take the all-time high of 109,588. Okay, and we go down to that low that we had at 74.5. Take the difference between the two and add them together. Off the add that difference to the top. You're going to come up with the first target of this thing, just using strict kind of market law of like one. I don't know what we get. I'm going to do it. 109, 75 out, 34. So 109, 34, 143. You get a target of 143,000 on the upside. All right, so this is another point. If we break that high, do not be fearful. This is my personal opinion. If I was sitting in a trading room with you and I was trading, say, XRP or something, and you're trading, Bitcoin, and we're breaking through 110, don't start to hunt for tops. If a marketplace is telling you that it's going up, it's freaking going up. Don't play games in your mind. Like, oh, well, it stopped here the last time and, I'm going to sell it. I'm going to go short to look to buy it back lower. Don't do it. And I'm going to give you a quick story. I had a friend of mine that was trading NVIDIA. And he was long NVIDIA for I don't know, a long time. Anyway. And it broke the high of $300, $330. So he calls me up and he says, man, I think, it was actually trading right around, I think, like 380, about $60 higher than the all-time high. I can't remember the exact numbers because I don't trade stocks. So he calls me up and he's a doctor. He's not a professional trader. So he says to me, Tom, he goes, what do you think of NVIDIA? Can you tell me technically what you think? So I said to him, I go, I know what you want me to say. I know exactly what you want me to say. You want me to tell you to sell your position. But I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you you should double up at this price. Double up and put your stop slightly below the all-time high, maybe 30, $50 below the all-time high. Right now, if I do the market math, it's going up to $650. Man, was I wrong? It went up to like 1,100. But he did hold on. Did you think that I even got one cigar from the guy? Nothing. Should have charged him for that. All right, so sorry about that. I had to let that story out because it's one of my really stories that I enjoy talking about. I do push in his face every once in a while and say, hey, are you buying cigars, today or what? All right, let's go over to Wyckoff. We talked about this yesterday, all right? We are starting to jump across the creek. So it's when price, jumping across the creek is when price clears resistance with strength. I put up the volume indicator because I told you yesterday that volume is extremely important to actually show that we're actually moving across the creek, and we have an increase in volume. We need to get above this volume high, but it's creeping up. Once we get above that, that's it, man. We are jumping across the creek, and we're heading towards that right here, sign of strength, because that's basically what when we said that price discovery actually occurs. It's over. I mean, right now, it at this point, it's heading higher to that 120 that we've been talking about. All right, let's go over to Ethereum really fast. I don't mean to be taking up all your time here, but like I said, I enjoy talking about markets. All right, so let's not ignore our old friend Ethereum, okay? We told you that 1,500 was the launch pad, 2,200 need to break, and then 4,000 is next. Okay, now Ethereum is on its way to 10,000. It's going to go parabolic. Now, why? It exploded 20% in a day up to 2,340 with a daily high of what, 2,456? That's no fluke. Over 265 million in short positions were liquidated. Now, that's small compared to Bitcoin, but that's big for this coin itself, and the volume is starting to ramp up. And let me drop this gem. Like we've been talking about this. Former President Trump bought 3.5 million worth of Ethereum. Now, love him or hate him, When a politician starts buying crypto, it's a signal. So he knew, look, the guy's not going to go invest money in something if he thinks he's going to lose. He's not going to do it because he actually knows what laws are coming out next. It's like if you followed Nancy Pelosi trading stocks, you would have made a fortune. I mean, she beat the S&P like every year for like 40 years, that lady. She should be, running a hedge fund. But if she ran a hedge fund, she wouldn't have privy to that news, right? Or what laws they were going to enact. So before we wrap up, actually, I want to do one other thing. I want to show you on the monthly chart, okay? That's not my monthly chart. That's my megaphone pattern again. Where's my Bitcoin monthly? Disappeared again. Son of a gun. All right. On the monthly chart, we had a classic head and shoulders pattern that's been confirmed. Let's see if I can find it on X. I think we got it on X. Right here. Let's go over to X. Let's check it out. Hope you don't mind like this kind of casual conversation that we're having. As the Ethereum that I just talked about. Here it is. Look at this. We got this post up. We got a target 340,000 on this thing. Head and shoulders pattern right now. Perfect. The breakout was confirmed. There was a retest perfectly. And now this thing is headed, and it's headed up. All right. Now, of course, there's going to be stops, and there's going to be, there's going to be natural reactions down and short-term, retracements and all that stuff. Yes. Okay. So, but we're definitely headed, the coin is headed higher. We've been saying it all along. Now, before we wrap up, crew, I want to let you know about our crypto community. It's totally free to join. This thing always seems to enjoy doing this to me. I don't know why. Like I said, if I go here, if you click on this link right here, you're going to be taken over to this site where you could sign up. It's completely free to join. I think it's launched. I think Merlin launched it. We're going to be dropping insane alpha and trading opportunities daily, from breakout setups to long-term gens. We got you covered. You want to follow our trade with a solid broker? Well, click on this link right here. This is our trusted broker link below. Low fees, fast execution, perfect for our trading strategies. Join our crew, level up your trading. Let's stack the profits together. Let's have some fun together. So what's next? If Bitcoin holds the 102.5, it's going right to 107.900 is on deck. Break that, break the highs of 109, and we're looking at 120 as a target. Overall target, 144. Then, the sky's the limit right now, right? The sky's the limit. Don't sleep on Ethereum either. It's heating up. We could see some serious movement if it cracks that 4,000 level. If you got volume behind Ethereum, don't be afraid. Of course, pick your points carefully. Make sure you trade with your head, not over it. Please drop a comment below. Tell us what you're trading, what you think. Give us some coins that we're not really talking about if you want us to cover them. And remember, always, always, as a short-term trader, enjoy the party, but dance near the door. And always do your own research. These are just my opinions. I'm just a humble trader. Cheers.